Bob Bolitho was born and raised in Victoria. He remembers how important a soccer clinic can be to aspiring players, as it wasn't too long ago that he was a frustrated tot trying to learn how to kick the ball. Even at an early age, Bob dreamt of becoming a professional soccer player. At the age of 7, he first began playing as a winger in the Gorge minor soccer program. He claims he was nothing very special in the early going, but says if you want something bad enough and you're willing to work hard, you can get it. It wasn't work to him, though. It was fun, and he and his teammates had some early successful seasons that helped set up his soccer future. Down Carey Road was Mount View, the school that dominated high school soccer's Colonist Cup for 3 seasons during his playing years. In 1968, the Mount View Hornets also made a clean sweep of the Victoria, Island, and BC High Schools championships. His devotion to soccer paid off. At 16, Bob got a tryout with Everton before returning to see action with his young Gorge squad, which won the Jackson and McGavin Cups in the Senior Men's League. Bob moved up to play right wing with the Victoria Royals and Regal Semi-Pro Summer League in the 1970s, and that led to his first taste of national exposure. It came in the 1973 Canada Summer Games, where the BC team won the gold. He also had a big role in the London Boxing Club, winning the Canadian Championships in 1974, and that earned him a position with the Canadian national team playing in the 1975 Pan Am Games. His talent grew each season, and while under coach Eckert Krautzen, he received several offers to turn pro. He decided not to relinquish his amateur status, though, because of his desire to play on the Canadian Olympic team. He got that opportunity, but that meant moving to Toronto and going on a European tour prior to the 1976 Montreal Olympics. The Canadian Olympic team was eliminated after only 2 games, losing to Russia and Korea, but for Bob, it was a dream come true. He describes the Olympics as the greatest thrill of his life and says it was unbelievable parading into the stadium as the host nation and wearing the Canadian uniform. The next season, he and Brian Robinson earned spots on the Canadian national team, playing in the 1978 World Cup qualifying rounds. When Team Canada eliminated the United States in the North American round, Bob scored 1 of 4 goals. In the 6-team second round, Canada scored 2 wins and a draw, before another tie with Haiti gave unbeaten Mexico the lone North American berth in the 1978 World Cup finals. Those national team games opened new doors for Bob, as 5 North American Soccer League teams bid for his services. He chose Vancouver, as it was close to home and also because national team coach Krautzen was the Whitecaps coach. Bob Bolitho began his professional career with a rookie season that was rather uneventful, but encouraging. He played in 20 games, scoring 4 goals and 2 assists. It was his second year in 1979 that he burst into the limelight as a starter, after coach Tony Waiters moved him from the midfield to fullback. Bob responded to the move with consistent defensive work and enhanced it with some outstanding runs and crosses from the right side. The result? He set up 7 goals, including a record-tying 4 in 1 game. In one of the greatest matches in North American Soccer League history, the Whitecaps defeated New York Cosmos in an unbelievable semifinal that was decided by a shootout, a mini-game, and another shootout. The Caps then went on to win the 1979 Soccer Bowl game over the Tampa Bay Rowdies in New York's Giant Stadium, and all of Vancouver celebrated. That winter, Bob went on loan to play for the Los Angeles Aztecs in the North American indoor soccer season. The following season found both the Whitecaps and Bob struggling in the wake of their incredible previous achievements. After playing 3.5 seasons with the Caps, he was traded to the Tulsa Roughnecks in the middle of the 1980 season. There, his timely overlapping runs and exceptional ball handling skills made him an offensive threat, and he started in their remaining 12 games, bringing the Roughnecks to the playoffs. For the second year in a row, he faced the league-leading New York Cosmos in the semis, but this time Tulsa lost in 2 straight. Bob didn't get much of a rest, though. He signed with Tulsa's indoor squad and played 29 games through the 1980-81 winter season. He also remained committed to our national team, and that saw him play against New Zealand and Scotland as Canada sought a berth in the 1982 World Cup playdowns. Then the family-owned small-town Fort Lauderdale Strikers offered him some job security. He accepted and quickly gained a spot in their lineup, helping the Strikers to a 7-win, 2-loss start. Managed by Elizabeth Robbie, the Fort Lauderdale team had debuted in 1976, playing in the city-owned 8,000-seat Lockhart Stadium. The team proved so popular, they enlarged the stadium and averaged 14,600 fans per game. Although they had winning records each season and attracted almost 20,000 to games against the Cosmos and Chicago, the Strikers made their only Soccer Bowl appearance in 1980, where they lost to New York. Bob felt right at home in Fort Lauderdale, grabbing headlines when he set up a number of timely goals, as well as providing soccer clinics for up-and-coming stars of tomorrow. With its boats and beaches, the small Florida city was much like Victoria. They even had a blue bridge, although the population was about 30% more. At the age of 29, Bob's achievements rivaled those of any North American in the game, and his past experience as a midfielder enabled him to become a more accomplished and complete defensive player. Bob and Susie, his wife and girlfriend since grade 9, had settled into a new home and were enjoying the weather and new friends when Susie became seriously ill and had to return to Victoria for treatment. Bob's soccer dream became a nightmare as, between games, he flew back and forth between Florida and here for the next 10 weeks, battling loneliness and despair with love and hope. His coach and teammates were supportive, and although Bob's game suffered, his strikers held off Tulsa to finish in first place with an 18-win, 14-loss record. Fort Lauderdale eliminated Montreal in the Soccer Bowl opening playoffs, but playing against Seattle in the semifinals, a last-minute game-tying goal followed by an overtime victory sent the Sounders on to the 1982 Bowl final. Bob went on to join Ian Bridge at the World Cup qualifying tournament in scorching Honduras. Canada finished with a win, a loss, and 3 draws, not quite good enough to make the final round. The 2-2 draw with Cuba would turn out to be his last international match. Bob Bolitho had played in 26 national team matches plus 11 Olympic matches to represent our country 37 times. 1983 saw the Strikers suffer through their first losing season and their faithful fan attendance dropped. After they were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, the Robbie family moved the team to Minnesota. Bob played 12 matches there before signing with the Tampa Bay Rowdies, where he wound up his 10th and what would be his final season of his pro career. The whole North American Soccer League was in crisis at that time. Attendance fell, franchises collapsed, dropping the league from 24 teams down to 7 when it folded. Bob returned to Victoria, opened a pizza restaurant in his old neighborhood, and enjoyed a couple of seasons of local soccer, including matches with these over 30 Vic West visions of the past. Bob wasn't quite done with soccer, though. In 1989, he and Brian Hughes were recruited to coach and manage the Victoria Vistas entry in a new Canadian Soccer Pro League, but it only lasted 2 seasons. Bob played in more than 200 North American Soccer League games, as well as in 37 international matches. He was inducted into the Canadian Soccer Hall of Fame in 2004, and his 1979 Whitecaps were just recently inducted as well. We are now honored to recognize him here where it all started as we induct into the Greater Victoria Sports Hall of Fame, soccer great Bob Bolitho.
I've been sitting in the car on the Malahat for a few hours and wasn't sure what I was going to say and what I was going to do, but you know, it kind of all just fell into place. And I'd like to thank you all very much. And you know, I'm thrilled and honored to be inducted in the Victoria Sports Hall of Fame. You know, it started in 1958, and it started at the age of 6 with an organization called the Gord Soccer Association, playing with coaches through the years like Chummy Crab and Cliff Newman and Larry DaCosta, Joe Beckers, for making the game so much fun that I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop. Then moving on to the Pacific Coast Soccer League and playing with the Victoria in the Pacific Coast Soccer League with the Victoria Royals and coaches like Brian Hughes and Frank Greeley. And Frank, it's so good to see you. It's been years. And I thank them for developing and honing my skills and preparing us kind of for the next level, you know. I feel fortunate to be able to play on a fantastic amateur team such as the London Boxing Club and winning the Canadian Soccer Championship in 1975 and representing Canada in 1975 at the Pan American Games. Representing Canada in 1976 Olympics and finally fulfilling a dream of mine that I carried on since childhood, and that was finally making my pro debut with the Vancouver Whitecaps in the spring of '77. And the highlight to my whole pro career was winning the North American Soccer League Championship in 1979, and it's just amazing. And as you all are aware, there's an old cliche about team sports. And the cliche is that you're only as good as the players that you have around you. And believe me, that is so true. That is so true. And, you know, I was blessed to be able to play with some great people and be surrounded by great people. I've had fantastic players around me, and it's been a real privilege for me to play with players like Ronnie Thompson, Brian Robinson, Jan Bentley, Dean Stokes, George Pecos, Ike Mackay, Mark Robb. You know, the names just go on and on and on. And, you know, and that was through the beginning years. And then playing with players like Alan Ball, Buzzy Parsons, Bobby Lenarduzzi, playing, hang on, got stuck. Then playing with Vancouver, and we went on playing with players like Trevor Wymark from England and Willie Johnson from Scotland, Ricky Vila from Argentina, a fellow by the name of Nene Cobillas from Peru, Gerd Mueller from Germany, playing against players like Franz Beckenbauer, Johan Cruyff, playing against you know, the immortal Pelé. I mean, it was just a dream. It's just a fantastic dream. This sport has been so good to me. It's enabled me to travel the world, travel Europe, the Caribbean, South America, and I've met so many fantastic people, and you know, from different lands, from different cultures, and continents that, you know, I can really call these people friends. You know, it's just really is amazing. Although these events took place, you know, 30 years ago, the images and memories and pictures created are so vivid that I feel like it was just yesterday. I have children. I have a 14-year-old daughter. I have a 6-year-old son. And I tell them, I sit down with them, I tell them stories of what Dad's done, and you know, it's just like, I get excited. I get goosebumps just still thinking about it, and I don't know how they feel about it, but it sure makes me feel good. But without however, there's one thing that I haven't mentioned, and it's probably the most important ingredient, and that developed and helped me and supported me, and that was family. Because without family and without what they did for me, and none of this would have really been possible. And the success I had really is not just me; it's them. Without that support, you know, none of it would have been possible. But once again, I feel honored and thrilled for this and outstanding honor that you've bestowed on me, and I appreciate it, and just thank you very much. Thank you.